Back here in Montana this morning, a dangerous situation as a suspect leads police on a high-speed chase just outside of Great Falls. And an amazing escape near Anaconda when a semi-truck cab is engulfed in flames. Time now 6:29 back here on Montana this morning. Checking back in with Chet because we're getting closer to the morning commute. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, something to be aware of starting tonight. A little bit of a wind factor out there. We're going to have lots of sunshine, but we have some wind. Starting at 6 o'clock tonight until 6 o'clock Wednesday morning, a wind advisory for that I-90 corridor. Livingston out towards Big Timber. Already have seen a 36-mile-an-hour gust of wind in the Big Timber area. So again, 2 hands on the wheel, please. It'll just make life easier for all of us if you do that. Here's what it looks like around the Treasure State, or at least around our part of the Treasure State. Single digits in Butte, 3, 9 in Belgrade. Teens, for the most part, West Yellowstone has had some off and on fog down there and a little snowflakes as well. As far as what it looks like for the rest of the week, I have that detailed forecast, Caitlin, coming up in about 10 minutes.
All right, thank you, Chet. The Montana Highway Patrol was involved in a high-speed chase east of Great Falls yesterday afternoon. Initial reports indicated the suspect vehicle, a silver Chevy Impala, was reaching speeds in the triple digits headed towards Great Falls. Montana Highway Patrol, Great Falls Police Department, and Cascade County Sheriff's deputies responded to that incident. The driver of the vehicle pulled into the rest stop at Armington Junction, where he was blocked by officers. The driver was then taken into custody. There are no reports of injuries, and the driver's name has not yet been released. Meantime, police in Billings say a 7-year-old boy is safe after someone stole a car from a Burger King with the boy inside. According to Billings Police Department, the boy's father reported his Uber Eats car stolen just after 6 o'clock on Saturday night. Officers found the car later near Pioneer Park, which led them on a short chase before officers lost the suspect in traffic. Police say thankfully they did find the child, saying the suspect released the boy on a nearby street. The child then thought smart here and called his father from a home near the location. The investigation is still ongoing, and police say no arrests have been made just yet, but they do confirm the boy was reunited with his father. 2 small earthquakes were detected near Old Faithful Geyser. The first, a 3.2 magnitude quake, hit around 7:30 on Saturday night, about 14 miles northeast of Old Faithful. The U.S. Geological Survey also reports that was followed by a 3.5 quake around 5:30 yesterday morning that happened about 15.5 miles west-southwest of Old Faithful. MTN News has not received any reports of injuries or the extent of the damage just yet, but we will update you on air and online as we get more information. Saturday near Cooke City, a snowmobiler triggered and was caught in a 2 to 4 foot deep hard slab avalanche. The Gallatin National Forest Avalanche Center reports it happened on Mount Abundance. Now, thankfully, the rider wasn't hurt, but his sled was trashed. 3 other avalanches were triggered Saturday near Cooke City, and another was triggered last week. The avalanche danger is considerable, so experts are reminding avoid riding on underneath steep slopes. A semi-truck cab was fully engulfed in flames on I-90 westbound outside of Anaconda yesterday morning. Montana Highway Patrol says the driver was the only person in the truck and thankfully was not injured. The driver was headed home to Spokane when he noticed smoke, pulled over and called for help as those flames began to overtake the cab of the semi, which was a total loss. According to the Montana Highway Patrol incident map, MHP was dispatched to mile marker 210 on I-90 west just east of Anaconda around 10:40 yesterday morning. Montana Department of Transportation reported that traffic after the incident was down to a single lane with reduced speeds. The Bozeman City Commission meets tonight to talk about updates for the city's climate action plan. The city of Bozeman has actually been working on updating its climate plan since the summer. The Bozeman City Commission has taken a number of steps over the years to address issues related to climate change on a more local level. Now, this fall, a Bozeman climate change team was assembled to help build a plan around certain goals and actions to build resiliency to the impacts of climate change.
We've developed a climate team. It's 35 individuals, many experts in their field, community members, and it contains a large percentage of high school students, college students, and those under 30.
And they hope to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 25% by 2025. Another goal for the city aimed for 100% renewable energy in terms of electricity by the year 2030. And finally, the city wants to be carbon neutral as a community by the year 2050. The Bozeman City Commission says the community's input from public workshops held earlier this fall were used to develop the new vision statement that will be introduced. Across the country, Filipino teachers are arriving on the doorsteps of rural school districts, all to fill critical education shortages. But here in Montana, there seems to be no data on how many foreign nationals are actually teaching in the state. MTN Investigates Keely Van Middendorp dug deeper in to see if the state is seeing an influx of educators from overseas and how this hurts or helps Montana's rural communities in the long run. Montana districts are able to utilize what's called emergency authorization to fill teaching positions with local community members. So the question now is, why have Montana schools chosen Filipinos over local educators? MTN Investigates finds that out during Rural School Recruits. That's coming up tonight at 10. In this week's Awaiting Child, a young man who has a pretty good idea of what he wants to be when he grows up. MTN's John Amy tells us about Devin and what's important to him.
Oh, you won.
Devin is an active 14-year-old boy who enjoys games and dreaming of one day joining the military or becoming a police officer.
Is that they're going out there making a world a better place. Police officers keep the city safe and people safe from issues and bad stuff.
Devin, who lives in Butte, likes Legos and playing video games.
I'd say he's more like a typical kid. He likes kind of a typical, teenager stuff.
He's also a big fan of the Christmas season.
I like Christmas because you can enjoy being with your family, with your friends. The point of Christmas is not just the presents, it's your family too. The family is the biggest thing that people really want you to the adults in your family really want you to know that they care about you.
Devin is looking for a family who can care for him and guide him to a bright future.
Someone who's straightforward and clear with their directions. Someone who's gonna correct him when he's wrong, but also show him the love and affection that he needs.
In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Switching gears now, this week our Under the Big Sky presents a new show just in time for the holidays. It focuses on Montana musicians and the stories behind their songs. Here's a preview of the new show featuring acoustic duo El Wencho.
Our first gig was October '99 with a band called the Clintons, and we were more or less a Dave Matthews cover band with 4 or 5 originals. Because Dave Matthews owned the world and we were the only band in Bozeman that covered Dave Matthews, we were instantly popular. As our popularity grew, I started writing more and the band started doing more, and the next thing you know, you got an album and then you got another album.
Our first foray into the duo thing was 8 to 12 months after we first kind of started playing together on stage.
We would get off the road and we would want to play more.
John had asked me, I think, hey, let's, you and I go out and play some stuff, just the two of us on a Wednesday. Played every Wednesday night for 5 straight years, except for Christmas one year. Of the 6 guys that were in the Clintons, I was the least experienced one of any of them. I was never formally trained in any kind of instrument. We would use those Wednesday nights to kind of run through songs, the two of us.
We kind of knew when we first started playing that we just had something, but we also knew that we had to play. Like, we have to play.
That was like the origin of the duo, and it was always a side project. Our kind of rule of thumb was if the band wasn't booked, then we would play a show, because the band was priority. Well, then when we decided to kind of start cutting back on some shows because, AJ was busy and Levi was busy and we were raising kids and all that stuff, that opened the door for John and I to kind of, if we wanted to play more, we could, because there was a lot more time on the calendar. John has always been driven to be a musician. He's always had that gift. His kind of zeal for all things that are creating memories and creating music and creating art. He needs a channel to get all that stuff out of him. And whatever opportunity and people he can find to help him with that, he's going to.
And you can tune in Christmas Eve at 6 p.m. on MTN to watch the premiere of Under the Big Sky sessions. And you can also watch the show online at underthebigsky.com following that premiere. And you were saying they've actually been here on the morning
Montana
show?
this morning. And
Wow.
Josh used the word zeal to describe John. I think both of them have nothing but zeal. They're high energy.
Yeah.
They love playing together. Their music just comes across. I proudly wear my El Wencho bright orange t-shirt often. I love their work. I can't wait to see what Sean and the crew at Under the Big Sky have put together for that.
And I love Dave Matthews. We don't have Dave Matthews cover bands. Not many of those out
They're
here.
almost as good as the real thing too, so it's good stuff.
That's
So yeah, that's it.
awesome.
So El Wencho, catch that again on Christmas Eve. We're gonna have that kicked off.
Great, can't wait for that.
It'll be fun.
And still to come on Montana this morning, deep beneath a glacier lies what scientists say is the new deepest point on Earth. But here's what's coming up first on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, Americans are sharply divided when it comes to impeaching President Trump. We'll break down new CBS News poll numbers on what voters want, plus the latest on the 2020 presidential race. And Kennedy Center honoree Sally Field, the iconic actress, tells Gail how acting is therapeutic and what she's most proud of. See you guys at 7.